In 2004, Mitch was in his final semester of college in Louisiana when he stumbled upon a fellow classmate who he fell madly in love with pretty much straight away, named Carla. And although she kind of played hard to get at first, Mitch would win her over and they would start their relationship. They graduated from college, they moved in together. 2 years later, they married, and Carla quickly fell pregnant after this. She was pregnant with their firstborn. By the time their daughter was born, Mitch was really succeeding in his career. It was really taking off. He was doing really well, and he was making enough money for the two of them. He was able to support his family based on just his income, and so Carla stayed home and became a full-time mom. A couple years later, they had their second baby. He absolutely adored his family. It was that kind of perfect white picket fence family lifestyle. Like I said, Carla was a stay-at-home mom, so it was really tight and close-knit. They would have dinner together at their family dining table and then play games as a family. Just really cutesy. One evening, shortly after Mitch's son was born, he is resting on the sofa after work, just watching TV, and he happens to glance across at the other side of the room where they have a table on the lamp, and it seems to kind of be a little bit blurry. As he looks across at it, it's kind of the light that's being emitted from the lamp that seems really blurry, and he kind of rubs his eyes, squints his eyes, and it's still blurry. It just looked totally weird. So he eventually turns the TV off and he walks over to the lamp, and he's looking at the lamp, and it's still completely blurry. At this point, he's wondering, whether it's an eyesight problem, whether, maybe he just needs to get an eye test. But like I said, nothing else in the room is blurry. It's just this one lamp. So he starts to wonder, is this something more serious? Do I need to actually seek medical help for this? Could it be a stroke or an aneurysm? And he kind of shrugs it off, tries to ignore it, and he goes back to the sofa, turns the TV on, and tries to just focus on watching the TV instead. But again, out the corner of his eye, all he can see is this blurry patch, and it's the lamp. He just cannot focus on anything else other than this. And so he turns off the TV again. He's totally fixated on the lamp, and he's just staring at the lamp, trying to figure out what on earth is going on. And while he's kind of focusing on this lamp, he rubs his eyes and he kind of looks and is squinting again at this lamp, and he realizes the lamp is actually upside down. The lampshade is on the table and the base of the lamp is up in the air. It's completely the wrong way around. It is upside down. He's starting to get concerned. Nothing else within the house is strange. It's just this one object. And at this point, his family come home, his wife and 2 children, and he just tries to kind of pretend like nothing is going on. Everything's totally fine. It's just a normal evening for them all. He doesn't really know how to explain it because he has no idea what's actually happening himself. So how do you explain something so off the wall to your wife when you have no idea what or why this is happening? So he continues with the evening. They all have their family dinner at the dining table. They play some games, and eventually, as the night closes to an end, they all go to bed. Mitch is in bed, Carla is fast asleep, and he cannot sleep at all. He's just completely focused on this lamp and the events of what had happened earlier, and he cannot get any rest. And so he decides he's going to sneak out of bed, go down and see if this lamp still looks blurry. So he goes downstairs, he sits back on the sofa, and he's totally fixated on this lamp. He's staring at this lamp. It's still blurry, and kind of shifting. It's upside down, and he is completely in this trance, staring at this lamp for hours and hours, to the point when Carla wakes up the next morning, She comes downstairs and finds him completely passed out on the sofa. And she wakes him up. She's like, is everything okay? Why are you on the sofa? And again, he kind of shrugged it off. Oh, telling her that everything's fine. He just couldn't really sleep and it was nothing to worry about. But he did actually tell her that he wasn't feeling too well and he would be staying home from work. He would have to call in sick to work. So Carla and his children go on about their normal routine in the day, and he does not move from his sofa. This lamp just totally consumes him and his day, and he does not move from that sofa. He's just trying to watch TV, trying to distract himself, and he just cannot get this out of his mind. So all day he's watching this lamp, and at some point he notices that this lamp is starting to kind of shift and distort and take on different shapes. And now he's really getting concerned. He is convinced that this is something serious. He, again, doesn't know how to explain it to anybody, and so he doesn't. He keeps it to himself, just kind of stuck in this trance, while this lamp is kind of moving around, almost kind of glitching. And he does not move from that sofa for the next 3 days, and his wife notices that there's a change in his behaviour. Something seems off. He doesn't seem good, and she asks him, is everything okay? And Mitch just told her, everything's fine. I'm feeling under the weather. Everything's fine. He just completely ignored what could have been potentially life-threatening signs and just hoped that it would subside by itself and just stop and everything would go back to normal. But it didn't. This lamp just kept distorting and glitching, and at some point Mitch becomes completely unresponsive. He's no longer responding to his wife when she's trying to talk to him. He's just kind of comatose on the sofa, not moving, staring at this lamp. So because he is completely unresponsive, his wife Carla becomes completely frantic. She's totally shaken and scared, and she phones for emergency services to come and help. And as Carla is on the phone trying to get help and talking to the doctor, Mitch is still staring at this lamp, and it's now starting to grow in size. It's kind of doubling and then doubling again and doubling again. And before long, the lamp, this red lamp in the corner of the room, is now the whole size of the room. And all Mitch can see around him is red, just the redness of this lamp. At this point, Mitch begins to hear noises in the background, kind of like distorted voices, and then it turns to screams, and he knows it's coming from somewhere around him, but he can't quite place exactly where the voices are coming from. And then he starts to feel like this tremendous pain within his head. He's holding his head in pain, and he lifts up his head and looks up, and he realises that he's lying down on the pavement next to one of the buildings from his old college. There's like a group of people starting to surround him. There's a crowd gathering, and he kind of looks around and scans around the crowd, and they're all kind of wide-eyed looking over him, concerned. And he is totally confused because he's no longer on his sofa, and he starts to panic and look for his wife Carla. So he's scanning the crowd to see if he can see her anywhere, and as he's doing so, a police officer comes running up, kind of scoops him up, picks him up, and runs across to his police car, bundles him in the back of the police car, and jumps in himself and starts driving off. Mitch is in total shock. He is looking around. He's like, what on earth is going on? And he asks the police officer, what is going on? And as he's asking, trying to get clarity on what's going on and what's happening, the police officer kind of turns as he's driving and says, you were attacked. You were attacked by this huge guy, a football player. He hit you in the head. You fell over backwards. You hit your head again and completely lost consciousness. Mitch asks him, where his wife and children are, because as far as he's concerned, he was just with them. They were just there in the living room, and so he's wondering where they are. But the police officer had no idea, and as he's driving to the hospital to take Mitch to the hospital, Mitch kind of realizes and it dawns on him. Mitch thinks back to the red lamp and it kind of dawns on him that there was no red lamp at all. There was never a red lamp. There was never a house. And he wasn't married with children. In fact, the past several years of his life that he'd built with Carla and had these two amazing children with did not exist. It was all this kind of hallucination that he'd experienced while he was unconscious, after being attacked by this huge football player. After Mitch had been to the hospital and was seen to by doctors, he did make a complete full recovery physically, but psychologically he completely missed his life and his wife and children that never existed. In fact, Mitch actually had to go through therapy after this whole event and after leaving the hospital to get over the loss of this family that never existed and that he felt like was totally real. With passing time, Mitch states that he can't actually remember the faces of his wife Carla or his son and daughter, although he had recurring dreams that his son was stood in front of him trying to actually talk to him. And he could clearly see that it was his son, but he couldn't actually make out what his son was trying to say to him. But I think it's incredible what the human mind can do. Your subconscious mind can just create this whole fictitious story that we can actually truly believe and feel like definitely happened, when in reality it was probably minutes that he was unconscious. Strange. But that is the end of this one, so I hope to see you in the next.